garbage. What's going on, guys? Welcome back today for another YouTube video. Today's video is going to be, as you already seen by the description, 07 through 13 two-wheel drive 7.5 inch rough country lift kit. Big shout out to Linex of London in London, Kentucky for getting my boy Anthony the lift kit here pretty quick. I don't know, I think it was like a day or two. Anyway, so we're gonna jump right into this install video. We're gonna go ahead and jack the front of the truck up, get the wheels pulled off, and then unbox everything, make sure that we've got all the tools that we need, go over the directions, all of that stuff. Yeah, so I will talk to you whenever we get everything unboxed and the front jacked up, wheels pulled off, all that.
Perfect.
Now we have the truck jacked up. Let me show you how we got it jacked up. Just a couple pieces of wood so it doesn't sink into the blacktop, 6-ton jack stands. And then I still have these right here on the lower cross member with just a little bit of weight on them. Not much, just so then all of the weight is kind of distributed evenly. And we'll go ahead and take this thing apart. So pretty much this 7.5 inch lift kit from Rough Country comes with new center drop down cross members. Be the front. I'm curious to see, I know on the F-150s their 4-inch and their 6-inch lift kits have the same center drop down cross members, which I kind of don't like because it actually puts your suspension geometry as if you had a 2-inch leveling kit. So I'm gonna measure from here to here. So it looks like this drops it down right at 5 inches, which I think is gonna correlate over to probably being the 5-inch kit, because I think they make a 5-inch and then a 7.5. But I know, like, whenever you run like a leveling kit, like how much it actually spaces out your strut, it's actually a little bit less than whatever. Like if you buy like a 3-inch leveling puck that just goes on top of your strut, it's actually not going to be 3 inches tall on an independent front suspension truck anyway. So I don't know if that will correlate over to being the right amount of drop, but we'll check out the angles whenever we get it all installed and see. I was just curious to see if this is the same center cross member. Yeah, so see, this is a 7.5 inch lift, but yet the strut spacer is only 6 1/4 roughly. But that all equals out to being 7.5 inches of lift somehow with the way the geometry of the suspension is. I've never understood that. But anyway, enough talk. Let's get into tearing this thing apart. I'm all of my tools set up. It says that you'll need a 8, 10, 11, 13, 15, 17, 18, 21, 22, 19, 35. Y'all. That's a big one. So we went ahead and I've got 8, 10, and 12 open ends. I've got 10, 11, 13, 15, 17 1/2-inch drive, 18 1/2-inch drive, and then a 9/16 1/2-inch, I think. Got a 21, a 19. It's always good to have a flathead screwdriver. Then I've got ratchet wrench, 1/2-inch, and a small impact gun, and then my big honky. And we are ready to tear the front end apart on this thing. First thing you're going to want to do is take a 10mm on a impact gun or on a socket, pull out that bolt, and then I usually just screw it back into there. Take out this bolt on the brake on, get that broke free. You want to come up here with a 13mm. and you'll be doing a brake line relocation for this. So just put that bolt back in there, you'll need it later. So next thing that you're going to want to do is pull off these sway bar links. It's going to be a 15 opening up top, and then hitting it with the impact gun from the bottom with a 15 as well.
Are you going to come over with it?
After you get the sway bar pulled out, you want to go ahead and take it. I just put it back together and lay it over here, and then pull out these bolts right here. You can see it. And same thing on the other side, and then remove the whole sway bar. So once you have the sway bar off and out of the way, we're going to be pulling this caliper off and hanging it up. So it is these two bolts back here. It's going to be one bolt right there and one bolt right here. And the reason why we're doing this next instead of like the tie rods or the upper ball joint is so then we still have steering, because I'm going to turn the wheel to the left on the passenger side so I can get in there with the impact gun, and then to the right on the driver's side so I can as well get in there with the impact gun. So after you have the caliper hung up, you can go ahead and pull off this rotor. It is a Torx 30, and you just pull out this bolt right there, and then your rotor will come off. After you get your rotor off, you want to go ahead and loosen up this upper ball joint while you have the wheel turned. After we get the upper ball joint loosened up, we're going to go ahead and turn the wheel to the right and do the same thing, all of these steps to the other side. For these Silverados, I like to use this little stubby pneumatic impact gun and just put it on reverse. And you can still, with this one, you can just barely get it up in there enough just to break that loose. And then you want to go ahead and take that off and then put it right back on just a little bit by hand, just like that. And then we are going to start whacking this thing with a big sledgehammer. Yay! So hit this with a big sledgehammer until that breaks loose. I'll see if I can get that on film. So we'll try it with our little hammer first. There we go. Huh. Usually I gotta get my big hammer out. I'm gonna go ahead and put this bolt back in right here too. We have the upper ball joint broke loose, the caliper hung up, and the rotor pulled. We can go ahead and turn the wheel the opposite direction and do the same exact thing to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to the other side and get all of this stuff done, and then I will see you back over here when we pull the tie rod end and the lower ball joint, and then we're going to pull out this big strut. So I will catch you right now. We're fully back and caught up. We're going to go ahead and take the tie rod off of this side and then the lower ball joint, and there's a 8mm Allen head right here that we're also going to have to pull off, and then the knuckle will come right off. So take your 21, take that nut off, and then you're gonna have to hit the tie rod pretty hard with something. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. Take this nut back off. Just pull your tie rod out. I always put the nut right back on. Don't put it on upside down like I do. Okay, now we want to take our 8mm Allen head, I think is what it said. Let's double check that. Rough Country was wrong, imagine that. It is a 5mm. Then you want to wiggle and finagle until that pulls out. Shove that right through there. Then you have your line. Go ahead and just throw it over there. We don't need that right now. So after you have that out, then we are going to pull the lower ball joint. Go ahead and take a 15th, 16th to this lower ball joint. And pull it off just until it's right there. Screw it back on just a little bit, and then we're going to be hitting this knuckle until the knuckle drops down. Let's see if we can get that on camera as well. Pull that out of there, then put the nut back on the upper ball joint. Now we can whack it. There we go. As you can see, it is dropped down and off. And we can pick this big honky up, drop that nut, and there we go. That nut back on your lower ball joint, and you want to take a 15, and we're going for these two lower bolts. You go from right down here at the bottom. Let's see. Just get on them real good. That one out. And pull that one out. Okay. Go ahead and set these to the side. Don't lose them. You'll be reusing them. Next up will be the bolts on top of the strut. There's 3 of them. They are an 18mm. We're going to be using a deep well 18 with 2 extensions. It'd be better off to have 2 longer ones, but I actually don't right now. So now we are just gonna go down through here with the impact gun. Pull off that 18. Get that one. My God, that one was on there. So I got that last 18mm out. We're gonna go ahead and set that up there. Go up in here and just pull all of the nuts off. Oh, and drop them. Don't forget to drop them. Then after you get that off, you should be able to push backwards on this strut and it will fall out like this. Drop it right through the bottom and then pull it out. And don't forget, don't lose these little clips right here. Those are what holds your strut on, so don't lose those. I'm gonna go ahead and set this down over here. Okay, next up will be the lower control arm bolts. I'm now caught up on both sides. So we're going to take a 15th, 16th and break loose the nut that's on the back side. Okay, so now that we've got that one broke loose, go ahead and break this one loose. I'm gonna put you at 18 right here and a 15th, 16th on the other side and get both of these bolts out and then pull the lower control arm off. So now we have the lower control arms and everything pulled out on both sides. Warning, you might get dirty doing this yourself, but you'll save hundreds of bucks. Hundreds of big band dollars. No, all jokes aside, I think that a basic lift kit installation usually runs about 800 bucks. So yeah, doing this yourself would save you a lot. Our next step in this lift kit installation will be taking a 18mm and removing the rear cross member. So there is a nut on the back side of each one of these bolts. And I've already got the other side bolts out. As you can see, that just now tried to drop. And there's that one. So now that we have the rear cross member out, we can go ahead. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, did you call?
Did you call?
I was returning your call. It said that you had called me.
Oh, really?
What are you doing?
I don't remember. Nothing. What are you doing?
I'm putting this lift on.
I got it done, don't you?
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm just putting it back together.
You're done. Are you really done?
Yeah, I'm putting it back together right now. It's already fully disassembled.
Is he linked?
Huh?
I said, is he a lot taller?
I'm putting it back together. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it will be, I'm sure. It'll be 7.5 inches, a lot taller. But I just got to put the cross members in and then start putting it back together. But yeah.
You start making a YouTube right now?
Am I straight making a YouTube right now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're on camera right now.
Hey!
Hey!
Wait, but
Hey.
Amy?
Hello?
Come check me out at Daybros RV, London, Kentucky.
Yep.
606.
Big shout out, Daybros RV, London, Kentucky. Ask for Anthony Wortham if you want to get a good deal on a camper. Yeah, right? Yo. Hey, give him a big peace out, Anthony. Peace. So next up, we're going to install the strut spacers, and there is one side where the holes are bigger than the other. So the smaller holes go at the top, the bigger holes go at the bottom, and these strut spacers can only go one way. I went ahead and put the drop-down cross members in the places that they go, and put the lower control arms into the cross members, into the new cross members. Rough Country suggested, and in their YouTube videos they use the new bolts up top, factory bolts down low. I don't guess it would matter though, they're both the same. Yeah, so next up we're gonna put the strut back in, and then that'll have it like right here somewhere. Once we get the strut back in, then we will swap over the hub assembly to the new knuckles. Also, one thing is, for the sway bar links, it's telling you to drill another hole in the lower control arm. So this is the factory one, it's 11/16. This is the one that I just now drilled, which is 11/16. I've done this just using a cobalt step bit. It goes all the way up to 7/8 pilot point. That you do this is it comes with this little template on factory hole and then where the new one needs to go. And this is for the driver's side, but we're on the passenger side now, so we'll just flip it over. And then I've already got all this done and centered, so it just goes down just like that. It's easier for me to show you with this, but you just put that over top of the factory hole, and then that one is your new hole and where to drill. And then you just start drilling. And you go all the way up to the 11/16, and then you're done. And that is your sway bar relocation. So next up we'll be taking out these 3 15mm bolts out of the original steering knuckle. And the only thing that you have to remember here is, look, so the tie rod goes in here, the upper control arm goes in here. This is the passenger side that we're looking at. This this hub assembly has to go back in with the ABS line right here. Okay, with the ABS line right there, it has to go in right here. So the placement is what I'm trying to explain. I'm wore out, guys. I'm completely killed. We've been working on this thing for a while. It's been like 3 hours, 4 hours of straight 95-degree outside. burning up. But anyway, so we have the aftermarket one. As you can see, it's much taller. We're gonna go ahead and pull out these 15mm bolts and then try to break this hub assembly away from the factory knuckle, and then just set the aftermarket knuckle right here on top of it, put the 15mm bolts back in, and yeah, boom. Okay, so we got the hub assembly onto here. I literally hit it with a hammer like 3 times and it came right off. This truck has like 101,000 miles on it or something. So yeah, I mean, it came off super easy. And then I just cleaned like the flat parts so then it would seat really good. And this one's done. I'm gonna go on and do the next one. Put the tie rod in, and then take our 15/16 and tighten up the lower ball joint. Tighten up this lower ball joint. Go ahead and rotate it. It's spinning on me. There we go. So many ugga-duggas. So many. So one negative thing about this kit that I've found, the upper control arm is actually hitting on the bump stop, so I'm having to grind the bump stop out. And this upper control arm is going to be at a very bad angle. So yeah, that's a negative about this kit, or it may have a leveling kit. So we'll just have to measure it whenever we get it all back together. And if this thing has like 9.5 inches of lift, then these were leveling struts. But that's not a big deal. This can be solved with a aftermarket upper control arm with a different ball joint or a uniball. I think Anthony's gonna run Cognitos, which is pretty much just, it's the same upper control arm, except this ball joint is like angled, like pre-angled and made like all forged or welded or whatever, and it just puts it at a different angle than factory, so then it calculates it for that bad angle, if that makes any sense at all. So like, instead of it sticking down like this, it would be angled out, so then whenever this does get pushed down, then it's already ready for that bad angle, so then it's not really at a bad angle, if that makes sense. And here is after we cut it. So pretty much that's the bump stop on the upper control arm that lets the upper control arm bottom out without riding at such a bad angle and hitting. So of course we'll have more geometry, so to say, and suspension travel with that bump stop cut out, so then it's not rubbing it and hitting it as the suspension works up and down. But that's not going to change that. This will be at a pretty bad angle now, but like I said, he's going to get some aftermarket upper control arms that are made to be at like a worse angle and fix that and correct it. So yeah, this is so stupid how they designed this, but we have to cut off 3/8 3/8 off of the end of the tie rod, so probably like right in there somewhere. Cut that much off of that, and then off of the actual tie rod right here, not the tie rod end, we have to cut another 3/8 off. So all I've done was measure and mark 3/8 on this, and then take the angle grinder with a cutting wheel. And I don't think that it has to be like 1000% exactly perfect, but that is like right at 3/8 marked and cut. So that's all we can do is follow the directions. Okay, so my camera died, but we're back. I got this cut and fitted up to the factory threads. Now we also have to cut 3/8 off of these threads. So I just used a paint marker and just painted all of the threads until I marked with the grinder at 3/8, and we're already about halfway through. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this the rest of the way, and then do the same thing on the other side. And so I didn't know that you had to do this on this lift kit, so that's kind of a hassle to do that, and especially the bump stops, because look at this upper control arm. I do not like that angle. Yeet! I do not like that, but he's gonna get some aftermarket ones, so it's all good, brother. It's all good, brother. That's no big deal. But we gonna ride these busted ball joints till they break, cuz, y'all. All right, where's my grinder? Vroom, vroom. Okay, now we just have to get this thing to screw on here, and then we're good. God dang it. Okay, what are the freaking odds of me putting my hand down to like lean and look at this and putting my hand directly onto the piece that I just now cut? What are the odds of that? That thing is literally like 1,000 degrees. I have branded a circle in my freaking my hand. Ow. Okay, get out of here. Please do not burn me again. Jesus. Okay. Oh Lord, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, she's spinning on. Yay. If these freaking Harbor Freight zip ties would just break, then we would be good. You know what? Angle grinder versus Harbor Freight zip ties. Angle grinder wins. Okay, so now thread this all the way back up to where it was. Dude, and you know what? Using my spidey senses, since we had to cut 3/8 off of both, I wonder if we should just like move that nut up 3/8 and then it would be perfectly aligned. What do you all think? Comment below. My God, my hand is stinging. Okay, guys. Do the same thing to the other side. Throw this thing together. All we have to do is put the caliper and the rotor on and the wheel. Tighten up everything. And remember, all this stuff still isn't tight. So, to my knowledge, I think we're gonna tighten up the top cross member bolts first, and then we're gonna like let the truck down and then tighten up the lower control arms, maybe. I know that you just have to have some weight on it, like, so then you're not tightening up those bushings whenever they're like not expanded or twisted or whatever. So you want to tighten up those bushings when they have weight on them, because that's kind of going to simulate it being on the ground and stuff. But my God, look at this lift right here, son. So the wheels, the rim is gonna be mounting right there. Yeet. This ain't gonna be big. Yeah, so shout out to my boy Anthony for letting me put the lift on his truck. His Instagram username will be linked right here down below. And I've pretty much ran into all of the problems that I'm gonna have on this lift kit. So you're pretty much just reverse engineering it from here, throw the caliper on, throw the rotor on, put that bolt back on, and there is a drop down brake line bracket right here. It's literally just a little plate. So I don't even have to show you guys that. This video is probably gonna be long as it is, but I'm gonna sign off because it's starting to get dark and I gotta hustle and get this thing busted out of here. The rear lift we're not putting on, so you know, a little bit of Carolina squat down here in Kentucky. Y'all go gripe at Anthony if you hate that, but the rear lift is super easy. You jack it up by the frame, pull the wheels off, lower the axle down, throw the blocks in, put on the brake line drop bracket in the rear. You flip-flop like the little emergency brake cable. We're gonna put that on sooner or later, but he's just wanting to drive around with it lean back just so people will hate on him, I think. So yeah, catch him squatted on the ground. This thing's gonna be on 24 by 12 fuel forged wheels with 35 1350 tires. I cannot believe I burnt myself. God, that's hurting. All right, I'm signing off here. Big shout out to Anthony. Y'all go give him a follow. Go hate on his squatted shit box, or go hate on his squatted truck. Tell him that I sent you. Go follow him, you know the deal. Catch me on Instagram at JustinHawkSmith. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like, comment what you want to see next. Comment and say Carolina squat sucks. Comment and say Carolina squat is cool. Comment and say I hate you, Justin. Comment and say whatever you want to say, but I will see you in the next one so you can say some more. Peace. Garbage.